One of the things I heard someone say in yesterday's workshop is that we're not just social justice workers, that we're people of faith who are called to acknowledge and fight against inequity. We're people on spiritual journeys, and we've found that the journey leads not only inward, but outward, and that we can't help but look beyond ourselves and act beyond ourselves. We know that we're interconnected with each other, with everything that's around us. We're all made of the same stuff that was forged those billions of years ago in those ancient stars. We're participants in the ecological systems of all life on this earth. And we're participants in our daily interactions within the institutional systems created by our forefathers. We are intertwined, and we've infused this understanding of our interdependent web with religious meaning that both feeds us and makes us aware of where we are accountable. We are here this weekend because our faith has called us to be part of the struggle that our siblings of color have faced and are still facing. We're here to learn how to be effective allies. As Chris reminded us yesterday, this means we need to lift up our successes as well as learning from our mistakes. And so we're here to meet each other, to support each other, to build a movement, piece by piece, story by story. We bring our wholehearted desire to do good work. We bring our best intentions, our hopes for the vision of the beloved community, in which the burden of inequity is lifted from people of color, and the burden of being part of the system that places that burden on them is lifted from us. And many of us bring something akin to that hole below Parker Palmer's feet, something that can keep us from doing that work with our whole selves. Maybe we bring fear of saying or doing the wrong thing, or fear of losing our privilege, as hard as that is to say, or fear of the vulnerability required to be in relationship, or fear of what Chris called the space of not knowing. Or maybe we bring rigidity or resistance to the idea that there's more than one answer, or the idea that we don't have the answer. Maybe we bring anger at this predicament we've all been placed in, or maybe shame at our unknowing collusion with institutional racism. Maybe we bring an unwillingness to be too uncomfortable, or maybe a resistance to opening to the deep inner work that we know is necessary to be present in the struggle. For me, that hole beneath my feet contains fear. It's a fear of the unknown in several contexts. I see myself as pretty new to this work, and I don't always know what is the best thing, the right thing to do, and so I fear making that mistake that puts me in wrong relationship. And I don't always know what to expect, and that makes this perfectionistic control freak pretty uncomfortable. To help alleviate the fear, I do something Chris reminded us of yesterday. I remember a place in which I was effective. I worked with a domestic violence shelter in my hometown a few years ago. And one of my tasks there, one of my joys and one of my fears, was to work with the children of the women who lived in the transitional housing center. They were there for up to 2 years as they were trying to get their feet back under them, trying to get jobs, trying to get training, trying to get their GEDs. And their kids had a really hard time bonding with anybody. When I was invited to do this work of being with the children, of helping them with their homework, of playing with them, finding the things that gave them a little bit of joy. I was excited, and I was afraid. Because these kids, they were older than my daughter, and, I only really know how to be with my daughter. I haven't gotten to those older ages yet, so these kids were older than my daughter. And these kids were African American. They had different ways of speaking, different ways of looking at each other, of looking at me, ways I was not used to. And so I found myself needing to find a way that wasn't straight down into that hole. And I took a breath, and I thought, not there is no difference, because there are differences. But I thought, what do I need to do to acknowledge those differences and move into them? And I sat down at the table with the kids and I said, what'd you guys do in school today? Let's see what you brought home. And it started. And it was fine. It was fine. I learned so much from those kids. And they, hopefully, learned a little bit from me. We stand on the brink of all that we aspire to create. Do you feel that? And all that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us. All we have to do is get past that hole at our feet.